All right, good morning, traders. Today is it's April 14th, 2026. My name Coach Carignan, lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here. Thank you to everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyberland. Thank you for liking, following, and subscribing to my content. Thank you for the kind words. That is greatly appreciated. I like the love. I like that a lot. Special shout out, Bob Jordan, John Jordan, Kathy Sarah Roasted, Ed Carter, Rick Sadler, anybody that shares the BYOB content, helping get the good word out there to the World Wide Web. We just want to help. That's it. All right, let's take a look at the markets this morning. Before I take a look, I do have a few announcements. Excuse me, I have one announcement. I don't have a few, I just got one. All right, this Thursday, for the members only, April 16th. Members e-learning starts at noon. So this Thursday, if you don't see me here in the trading room, it's because I'm in the members e-learning listening to the fabulous presentations of Doug and Rick, and as well as conducting one of my own. All right, so that's where you'll see me Thursday in the combo room. If you want to know how to get to the combo room, come up here, head on over to your members page. And you can see if you're logged in, you scoot over here, hit the combo room. It'll open up another room for you. Put your credentials in, you can log in. If you're looking for the videos, they're under the resources tab. Come down here to e-learning replay, and you will see all of our past members e-learning right there. All right, there's about 10 per page right through there, and it's about 35 pages of 10 per page. 350 videos right there. All right. And if that's not enough videos, okay, we've got the public webinars. Again, 10 per page. All right. Plenty of topics in here. We're here to help. All right. If you didn't know it, we're definitely here to help. All right. So you come down here, you got 20 pages of 10 all over again. All right. 20 pages of 10. Another 200. So that's 350, 200. That's 550 videos, and if that's not enough, each one of us has a YouTube channel, which you could probably find 1,000 more videos on those YouTube channels, all right? So, from each of us, all right? So, the content is wide and extensive, all right? So, again, all three of us, we're just here to help, all right? That's all we want to do. All right, so that's this Thursday at noon. Doug's going to start it off. I'm going to follow Doug, and then comes Rick. All right, so remember, these guys are sharing some of their knowledge. All right, take them up on it. They are very good at what they do. All right, let's take a look at the markets from yesterday. My SPY pivot today, 681.70, above it bull, below it bear. SPY IWM, QQQ, FNGU made outside days. That would be higher highs and lower lows. They closed over bullish traps, excuse me, and over their 17 EMAs. Diamond down made a lower high and a lower low, not by much, all right, but still closed over the bullish trap like the other four, all right, and over the 17, all right. SPY closed, 2-hour uptrend, 10-minute uptrend. Gold, by the way, we do have a position in gold and silver. For those of you out there that only think that we trade SPY, all right, which is not true. Okay, so gold made a lower low and a lower high, closed inside a bullish trap over the rising 17. Oh, excuse me, over a flat 17. Silver lower high, lower low, closing inside a bullish trap and over the 17 EMA. USO high flyer here made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bearish trap, but over the rising 17. UNG, that never fails to disappoint us, made an outside day and still closed under a bearish trap under the 17 EMA. US dollar index in a downtrend and closed near the 98.35 area. SPY Max Pain 681 with a put to call ratio of about 2 puts to each call that expires today. As far as the economic calendar goes, there's nothing on there that's going to be a main event. Actually, the main events are probably going to come from the earnings calendar as I think Taiwan Semiconductor reports tomorrow. We'll take a look at that. All right, if this is your first time seeing this, all right, we have, you can call it a watch list if that's what you want to call it, but these are all in daily uptrends over the 17. These are all in daily downtrends under the 17. If they have a star next to it over here, they're building out a bull flag. I call it a launch pad from which to launch higher, okay? If they got a little dash, it means they've already done the breakout. All of these over here, if they got a little star next to it, they're building out a bear flag, or I call it a platform from which to dive lower. If they got a little dash, all right, means they've already done the breakout. So Nike did the breakout, BZ did the breakout, okay? The others still producing bear flags. All right, so over the 17 watch list, under the 17 watch list. All right, let's take a look at the markets. You can see right here we got a 10-minute chart. Got the sticks and the 3 riding up on top of the 8. That is a 10-minute uptrend. You've got daylight between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA, both of them rising up there over VWAP. If you want to see what a picture of money looks like, okay, this is the picture of money. You see that 8 EMA right there? 10-minute chart. You see the mouth or the distance between the 8 EMA and the VWAP? See how it grows and grows and grows? That right there is the picture of money right there. You can make lots of profits when you have a situation where the 8 EMA and the VWAP line both trending up, but begin to separate wider and wider and wider. Picture of money, actually easy money, all right? If you want confirmation, this is what I use for confirmation and momentum. By the way, I think that is the topic, okay, is trend and momentum. Okay, that's our topic this Thursday. So I use this PPO, all right? And whenever on the 10-minute chart, PPO is up over 0.06 or greater, you have trend and momentum, all right, for new highs. So you can see right here we had some, right here, rising up over that 0.06 number. You can see it like ripping up over the 9 EMA right here. So this is what I use. Price percent oscillator with a 9 exponential moving average on it. And that'll give you a good idea of trend and momentum. Again, up over 0.06, all right, is a good sign. That's got good, that should have good momentum, and it should be in an uptrend. That's 0.06 positive. All right, let's go check out. Let's move this out of the way. All right, I digress sometimes. Okay, you get the sticks and the 3 riding up on top of the 8 EMA. All right, this is a 2-hour chart. You get daylight between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA. You can see here's a picture of our 2-hour. That is a 2-hour uptrend right there. Daily chart, okay? You've got the sticks and the 3 riding up over the 8. Do we have a daily uptrend? We have to make a higher high. And not quite there yet. All right, so as soon as we take out this high right here, we will have made a higher high. So there's SPY on the daily chart. You can see an outside day, higher high, lower low, but closing over the bullish trap. Okay, bullish trap because you got the sticks and the 3 riding up over the 8. Okay, you got daylight between the 3 and the 8. Okay, so we got a bullish trap there. So we're closing over the bullish trap. You've got a hooking 17. See how these red dots now turn to green? So we got a hooking 17. We're up over this pink line, which is our all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, and now I'm going to pan way out here because this is good stuff. All right, back here in April, this would be the origin of our rally. So we come up. So we're still up here in quadrant 4. Okay, I use these quad lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is quadrant 1. This would be 4. You can guess that the other 2 are 2 and 3. All right, so SPY is on the daily. on the daily chart up here. We're up in the top of quadrant 4, so that's bullish. Anytime you're in the upper third, that's bullish. So top of quadrant 4, we're bullish. All right, and we're in a dysfunctional downtrend. We got in a downtrend because we got some lows. We made lower lows. We haven't made any higher highs recently, though. Okay, so did we move higher? Yes. Did we make a high over a previous peak? All right, so this would be the previous peak over the 17 right there. So we got to get up over that high right there to convert the downtrend into an uptrend. Right now, we're in a dysfunctional downtrend in that price is no longer moving down. It's actually melting up or moving to the right. So SPY, bullish, daily chart, bullish, but in a dysfunctional downtrend. That means it's not moving down, it's moving up or melting up or moving over to the right. Okay, so there's SPY. Weekly chart of SPY. We got a low here. We made a lower low. We're still in that downtrend. Again, dysfunctional downtrend in that price isn't moving down, it's moving up. So we're bullish, dysfunctional downtrend for SPY on the weekly time frame. Monthly time frame, back here, got the April origin of the rally, price action. Okay, we haven't made any lower lows on the monthly chart, so we are still bullish because we're up here in quadrant 4. All right, so we're still bullish. All right, and we haven't made any lower lows. You can see all the green dots, so we're still in that uptrend on the monthly chart. Let's take a look at QQQ. It's going to be much like SPY. They kind of mirror themselves. All right. We got the sticks, candlesticks, and the 3 EMA riding up over the rising 8. You got daylight between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA. Okay, so we have a 10-minute uptrend coming into the close yesterday. 2-hour chart, sticks in the 3, rising up over the 8. Again, you got daylight between the 3 and the 8. All right, 3 is up on top of the 8. You got a 2-hour uptrend coming into the close yesterday. Daily candle, outside day, higher high, lower low, closing over a bullish trap, closing over the uptrend line, closing in the middle or the upper portion of quadrant 4. That's going to be bullish. You can see some highs right here. Okay, you can see a little peak right there made with about 5 candles. So we have a peak over the 17 right here. All right, and we made a higher high, so we're in an uptrend on the QQQ. So QQQ bullish and in an uptrend on the daily chart. Weekly chart, still in a dysfunctional downtrend. They have to take out that peak right there. Okay, so not quite yet. All right, there's no valleys identified in the weekly chart. All right, you got a low here. They made lower lows, so they're still in that downtrend. The nice news is they're not going down. They're melting up. So dysfunctional downtrend on the weekly chart for QQQ. Up here in quadrant 4, you can see here's the origin of our rally back here in April. All right, so we're up here. We're in quadrant 4. That's bullish. All right. All right, and in a dysfunctional downtrend, okay, meaning we're moving up instead of down, or we're moving over to the right. So there's QQQ, weekly chart, bullish, dysfunctional downtrend, daily chart, bullish, uptrend, okay? Monthly chart for QQQ, you can see the origin. Here's the April rally. See all the green dots. We're top of quadrant 4. We're bullish, all right? And we haven't made any lower lows, so we're still in an uptrend. So bullish and in an uptrend on the monthly time frame. That's QQQ. All right, let's take a look at some of the other products. We're going to start off on the daily chart. Let's start off with Stinker FNGU. FNGU got a outside day. It's a higher high, it's a lower low. Closed over a bullish trap over the 17. See that? See those red dots turn to green? We're hooking that 17 EMA right there. Okay, so we're no longer in the lower third. Let me pan way out here so you can see. Okay, so this is the all-time low. That's the all-time high. Okay, this would be quadrant 1. This would be bearish underneath the crosshairs. Okay, this would be the lower third underneath the crosshairs. All right, this would be the upper third above the crosshairs. Okay, that'd be the upper third, lower third. In the middle, we're neutral. All right, and as soon as we take out this peak, we'll have ourselves an uptrend. Right now, you've got a low and a lower low. So we're in a downtrend. It's a dysfunctional downtrend in that we're not moving lower, we're actually melting up or moving over to the right. So there's FNGU. So we're neutral, all right? It's not in the upper third, not in the lower third. We're neutral, all right? But in a dysfunctional downtrend, only to be broken pretty soon here, as soon as we make a higher high. Okay, so there's stinker on the daily chart. We're underneath this falling all-time high anchored VWAP, trying to stage a comeback here. We'll see what happens. All right, that's the daily chart. That is moving up. All right, so on the larger time frame, we're neutral, but on the smaller time frame, on the 15, you can see we're definitely bullish and in an uptrend right there. Okay, if you take us from this low on up to that high, and I put the quad lines up there, okay, you can see we're up here quadrant 4 based on the low that happened at the last day of March. Okay, so just been melting up ever since. All right, so let's take a look at, go back to the daily chart. All right, let's take a look at the other two indices, because that's what we trade here at BYOB. All right, we mostly trade indices, and we trade a few other products. Okay, we're not just SPY traders. Okay, so here's Diamond Dow on the daily chart. All right, we've got ourselves, let's see what the high says here. 482.40. What does the high say here? 482.28. Lower high, lower low. We closed over a bullish trap. Closed over the 17. We closed in the bottom of quadrant 4. So we're bullish. All right, we have we're bullish and we're still in a downtrend on Diamond Dow. Okay, so we have to take out, see that one high that peaks up over the 17 right there? Okay, until we take out that high, we're still in a downtrend here. Unless, of course, we make a lower high, come back up through it, and then make a higher high. So right now, Diamond Dow is bullish. I'm going to pan out here so you can see the whole picture. Again, here's the origin of the rally back here in April. We're up here in the bottom of quadrant 4, so we're bullish. All right, we're up over that pink line. That's the all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, we've got lows, and we've made lower lows, so we're in a downtrend until we make a higher high. So price action is bullish and in a dysfunctional downtrend because, again, like the others, we're melting up and not moving lower. Okay, so there's Diamond Dow on the daily chart. Let's take a look at IWM. Okay, IWM, outside day, higher high, lower low, closed over a bullish trap, closed over the all-time high anchored VWAP, closed at the top of quadrant 4. All right, we're definitely, here's the origin of that rally back here in April. All right, moving up. All right, so we're bullish up here. Looks like we're going to make an attack on the all-time highs up here. We're bullish. We have a high right here, and we obviously made a higher high. So we're in an uptrend on the daily chart. Bullish and in an uptrend on IWM. Let's take a look at silver and gold. All right, we do have a position in silver. All right, just to remind you that we're just not SPY traders. We trade more than the SPY. We got a lower high, a lower low. We closed inside a bullish trap over the flat 17 under the pink line. That's the all-time high anchored VWAP. We're not up in the upper third. We're not in the lower third, so we're neutral. All right, and you can see a high there. We made a higher high and in an uptrend. Okay, so there's silver on the daily chart, neutral and in an uptrend. Let's take a look at gold. Gold here on the daily chart is a lower high, a lower low. We closed inside of a bullish trap over the flat 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, bottom of quadrant 4. That's in the upper third, so that's bullish. They got a high, they made a higher high, and in an uptrend on the daily chart. There's GLD. Let's take a look at USO. USO got a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bearish trap, over that rising 17, bottom of quadrant 4. That's going to be bullish anytime it's in the upper third. Bottom of quadrant 4, that's bullish, and they have not made lower lows. Still in an uptrend on USO. All right, let's take a look at UNG. Never fails to disappoint us. All right, which is a higher high and a lower low. Still closing underneath that bearish trap, underneath that falling 17 EMA, underneath this 12-month high anchored VWAP. All right, at the bottom of quadrant 1, that is the all-time low right there. At the bottom of quadrant 1, all right, that's going to be bearish. Obviously, you can see a low, and we're making lower lows, and in a downtrend on UNG. Let's take a look at technicals. T2101. I will visit the game plan. T2101 price action is a 15-minute. I use 15 minutes because I'm a 10-minute trader. This is a nice time frame to look at for reference. And you can see here's participation. I call absolute breadth. Just substitute the word participation for breadth. All right, you can see the market moved up, and we had an increase, a slight increase in participation or absolute breadth here yesterday. That is a bullish sign. Let me just say this: the bulls are running. All right. If you haven't noticed recently, with all that, with all the dysfunctional downtrends. All right, with those, if you put the chart on a 2-day time frame, you'll see a lot of green recently since the beginning of April. All right, you'll see that the bulls are making a run. I don't know how far they run. I don't know if they ate enough spinach. All right, I don't know if they got enough mustard in them to make a new high, a new all-time high. We'll see. So far on the absolute breadth, it's showing us bullish sentiment in that we're getting more and more participation as the price grows, increases higher and higher. That's T2101. T2122, obviously you can see we spent very little time, all right, in the seller's chop zone down here. This is yesterday. All right, we spent a little bit of time in the buyer's chop zone. We did a complete flyover, all right? We did a Top Gun flyby right there over the buy zone. So we just flew right over that carrier deck. And you can see we spent all day circling inside of the overbought zone, right up there on T2122, okay? That's a bullish sign. Anytime you're on the upper side of the 50-yard line right here, okay, so that would be the bull's control. Now, if you look back here since April 1st, you can see this is a continuous line. The majority of the line, all right, spends most of its time up here over the yellow line, which is our 50-yard line, mid-court, midfield, or the separation of buyers and sellers control, okay? So if buyers are in control, it means the bulls are running. So you can see we're spending a whole lot of time up here. So I'm going to be bullish, all right, until the market's not bullish, all right? So I'm going to remain bullish. Do I expect a pullback pretty soon? Yes. All right, so that doesn't make us bearish, even if we have a pullback. So there's T2122. Let's take a look at T2123. Again, this is the 15-minute chart. Okay, so here's a falling 200 SMA. All right, we are on the north side of that hooking 200 SMA. That's where you want to be if you're a bull. All right, and we take a look at the 15 minutes, and we see we've got a high right here, and you can see obviously a higher high, so we're in an uptrend. T2123. Okay, market is in an uptrend again. The bulls are running. Okay, so will there be a pullback? Probably pretty soon. All right, don't know when, but I'm just saying the bulls are in control right now. All right, and I'm going to stick with them until they lose control. So there's T21 23.15 in an uptrend. All right, now this is the all-time high. I'm going to slap the quad lines in there. From the all-time high, we're no longer in the lower third, so we're neutral and in an uptrend right there. Now, if I just want to take it from April 1st, you can see if I just measured from April 1st or March 31st, we're bullish, all right, and obviously uptrend. No matter what it is, it's an uptrend, okay? If I take it and measure it from here, we're bullish. If I measure it from the pullback from the all-time high, we're neutral and in an uptrend. Regardless, we're over this 200 SMA. That's where you want to be if you're a bull. Let's take a look at the 3-bar chart. I'm going to take this off because it's nothing but confusing. Price action up here, in the middle of quadrant 4. Okay, again, this is our April origin of our rally. We go up, we make a new all-time high right there. Okay, that's made in 2025. Pull back, make a higher low, rip, and make another new all-time high made in 2026. Now we're having a pullback. Notice the pullback is nice and shallow. We're not pulling all the way back to the 50-yard line way back here. Okay, we're remaining in the upper third. That's still bullish. We're on the south side of the rising 200 SMA. It's not where you want to be unless you're a bear. But the good news is price is not moving down. It's moving up. So got a dysfunctional downtrend here. There's a low. You can see lower lows. Until we make a higher high, we're in that dysfunctional downtrend. So we're up here in the middle of quadrant 4. We're bullish. All right, we're bullish, but in a dysfunctional downtrend on the bigger time frame until they make higher highs. Okay, that's T2123 3-bar chart. Stinker on the 15. Remember we looked at this earlier? We've got a high. We're making higher highs. We're obviously in an uptrend. We're up over the hooking 200 SMA. That's where you want to be if you're a bull. We're up over the pink line. That's the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's where you want to be if you're a bull. Got a nice bullish gap here, not closed by the bears. That's a bullish sentiment showing you bullish control, okay? Bears don't have enough mustard, all right, or enough spinach, Popeye spinach, to come down here and fill the gap, all right? So that is a bullish sign. That's a bullish clue right there, making higher highs and higher lows. Another bullish clue, up over the 200 SMA. Another bullish clue, up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Another bullish clue. You look over here to the left, we're just about to take out, see this peak right here? If I was to take this low and ride it up to this high up here, so we got a low right here, and then we got a high up here, all right? Okay, so if we take out this high, all right, that would be a nice higher high on a bigger time frame. Right now, on the 15, we're making higher lows and higher highs. We're already in an uptrend, but if we did this and took out that high right there, and we're close. We're really close. Actually, look at this. This is pre-market. They could take that high out today. All right, so that's bullish on the 15-minute chart, and that's probably neutral and in an uptrend. All right, from the full perspective of what I can capture. Okay, so this would, remember the all-time high is way up here. Okay, so see how we're neutral and in an uptrend. Not in the lower third, not quite in the upper third. All right, so we're neutral and in an uptrend right there on Stinker on the 15-minute chart. Let's take a look at the economic package. I still want to take a look at those game plans before we leave right here. So let's take a look at the economic package. Let me drag those out. All right, max pain. All right, 681. And a put to call ratio of about 2.1 puts for each call that expires today. Let's refresh that. Make sure they didn't change it on us, because they do that sometimes. Still 681, still 2.1. All right, economic calendar, we'll do that first because there's going to be a lot of earnings that I want to go over. Okay, so economic calendar. Yesterday was really light. Today's really light. This whole week is really light. I don't know if the government shutdown's over, but I don't see any more delayed reports, which is a refreshing sign. I'm tired of looking at delayed reports. All right, but anyways, Tuesday, NFIB, Small Business Optimism Index, comes out at 6 in the morning, so it already came out. PPI Final Demand, 8:30 in the morning. That comes out in, it came out 2 minutes ago. Wednesday, that's tomorrow, we got Empire State Manufacturing Index, 8:30. Import-export prices, 8:30. We've got Housing Market Index at 10. And a petroleum inventories and status report at 10:30 tomorrow. And then we got a beige book at 2 p.m. All right. On Thursday, jobless claims at 8:30. Philly Fed Manufacturing Index. So if you're not satisfied with the Empire State Manufacturing Index, we gave you another one. It's the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index coming out at 8:30 as well. All right, industrial production coming out at 9:15, and then we got natural gas inventories and status report coming out on Thursday at 10:30. So you can see this is pretty much a regular one. Petroleum reports on Wednesday at 10:30. Thursday, natural gas reports at 10:30 on Thursday, and then there's usually a rig count at 1 o'clock on Fridays, okay? Now, if one of these days happens to be a holiday, they'll kind of scrunch them together or move one over here and one over there, all right? So that's the way that they do it, all right? So if you're looking for when to expect these and you're looking for them, they usually get scrunched up sometime. Sometimes you can get two in the same day. All right, let's take a look at the earnings, because there's no really highlights as far as economic events goes. Nothing here is, they're all a little bit market moving, but I'm just saying nothing here is, it's going to create a lot of volatility, in other words, okay? Except maybe jobless claims at 8:30 on Thursday, okay? And I really doubt that's going to cause any turmoil right there on the jobless claims. Okay, earnings report for today, okay? Now remember yesterday at Goldman Sachs, okay? Can't remember if they did good or bad, but I think they beat. I'm not positive. You know what? I'm not even going to report on it, okay? Because I don't even know. All right, so 287 billion of market cap, Goldman Sachs. All right, they reported yesterday. Today, over 3/4 of a trillion. JP Morgan Chase is reporting today. All right, and Ed gave me some stuff here in the room, and it looks like, thanks, Alan. Looks like JPM did good. They reported 594, and the surprise was good. And my eyes aren't that great, so I'm gonna say 8.2. All right, and that's with me squinting and then re-squinting and re-squinting. I'm gonna say 8.2. All right, so I'm just gonna move this off to the side for a second. And what did they have one more time? They reported 594, and the market wanted 549. So you can see JP Morgan did good. All right, the market should like it. All right, as long as they're not overbought. Okay, so JPM, good news for them. All right, and that's going to kick off with them and Goldman Sachs going to kick off the earnings, a new round of earnings here with the banks. All right, and what a good start we're going to have. It's nice to see it when we get a nice robust rally when you get the financials, the transports, and semiconductors. When you got that trinity and they're all in an uptrend, and let me say they're all looking pretty darn good. All right, you can have a really robust rally. So we'll see what happens. Maybe we begin another wave in this April all the way up to make new all-time highs, all right, in 2026. We'll see, all right. I'm looking at kind of like a deja vu. April, all right. We are ripping in April, that's for sure. All right, so J&J, half a trillion dollars. $554 billion. They're going to report this morning. Wells Fargo, $263 billion. They're going to report this morning. Wells Fargo, Citigroup, $217 billion. They report this morning. More financials. BlackRock, more financials. $155 billion. They report this morning. Albertsons, $8 billion. Okay, not really a big market mover there. Okay, CarMax has said it had a 54% surprise, but then again, CarMax was only looking for 22 cents per share, and they reported 34 cents per share. Let me just say CarMax is dipping early this morning, so I guess that's the end of CarMax, all right? So they'll probably be in a downtrend for probably have a 3-month pullback, all right? Let's go back and look at tomorrow. Remember I was talking about Taiwan Semiconductor? All right, they're going to report on Thursday. I said Wednesday, it's Thursday, okay? That's about $2 trillion of market cap. Keep an eye on that. That's a market mover right there. Along with Netflix, $434 billion. They're going to report in the evening. This is one of the few times that tech reports in the morning, all right, was Taiwan Semiconductors in the morning on Thursday. Okay, that's a market mover right there. Remember I said we were talking about market movers? That's a market mover. Okay, go to Wednesday. ASML Holdings, okay, $569 billion. They're going to report tomorrow. Bank of America, we all know them, $375 billion. Morgan Stanley, we know them, $280 billion. Progressive Corp, we know them, $113 billion. PNC Financial, $89 billion. We know them. Kinder Morgan. Okay, all these, nice. The financials are kicking off this week, all right? Starting with Goldman Sachs on Monday, JP Morgan Chase today. Those are the headliners. And then we've got Bank of America on Wednesday, okay? I will cover the rest of Thursday. As you can see, PepsiCo, Netflix, Abbott Labs, because there's a lot more market cap reporting. But tech, which happens to be the tip of the spear when it comes to robust rallies, all right, is probably going to be the headliner and the dominant topic of conversation when it comes to reporting on earnings. So keep an eye on tech, all right? Keep an eye on tech. Financials looking good, all right? Again, Thursday and Friday, all right? Friday, what do we got? Just familiar names. Nothing here that's market moving. Again, whole lot of banks. You can see HDFC Bank, ICICI, all right, Truist, Fifth Third, State Street, Regions Financial, Ally Financial. Again, a whole lot of bank earnings coming out on Friday, but nothing here market moving, all right? They will contribute to the KRE, all right, which is the regional banking, all right, right here, Truist, Fifth Third, State Street. Well, State Street's more investment. Regions and Ally, all right there. All right, let's go talk about the game plans, all right, because we need to get back to the message and see what we're going to trade this morning. Now, let me just say, yesterday in the pre-market, all right, it looked like a pullback. They were in a downtrend, then they V-bottomed and started an uptrend. And I said if they came out over that pre-market high, that we're going to go bullish. And I have that statement right up here. Okay, so this is yesterday. Just in case you missed it. All right, right here, this is if price continues to consolidate or melt up over earlier pre-market consolidation observed in the red box right here, we may see price make a significant higher high, possibly run up and gap fill. Okay, so at that point, we saw price now begin an uptrend. All right, and I know I gave guidance here of consolidation under prior consolidation, which is a bearish environment. I plan to wait and trade a 10-minute downtrend. As you can see, we never had a 10-minute downtrend to trade. So if you lost money trading this guidance, okay, because you missed this one right here, okay, remember, follow the instructions, okay. Price, okay, we got a 10-minute uptrend, so I traded a continuation of the 10-minute uptrend. You can see right here at 9:32, buying 680 strike calls for a continuation of the 10-minute pre-market uptrend right there, okay. And we had continuation. We had a nice, beautiful day right through there. All right, so if you want to see what happened with price, let's come over here and let's pick up the SPY. Okay, we trade more than the SPY in case you didn't know it. All right, so you can see here's yesterday's price action. See how that 10-minute uptrend just resumed all the way up there to make some new rally highs right there. Not the old, the rally from the beginning of April, okay? New April rally highs right up there. All right, so in the pre-market, what do we have? We got consolidation over prior consolidation. That's a bullish clue, okay? That's a bullish environment. I'm going to trade this 10-minute uptrend. I'm going to continue with it, all right? Now, if they happen to break below okay, all of this post-market activity right here, okay, if they gap fill, in other words, they gap fill and get underneath this, all right, there's a chance we come rolling back to the pivot. We'll see what happens, okay? But if they get underneath all of this consolidation, that would be the major support, all right? We could see a pullback to the pivot, maybe even lower, all right? But I'm just saying if we break below that. Other than that, I'm probably highly interested in trading this 10-minute uptrend that we have. Now remember, it's 45 minutes before we open up. Things change sometimes. Okay, so if they do, all right, and we're underneath here, and we're printing, 10-minute candles, complete candles underneath this, all of this underneath the gap fill line right here, underneath the post-market consolidation and the pre-market consolidation, all right, you're probably going to have a nice 10-minute downtrend, all right, and look for the picture of money, all right, and it's probably going to take you back to the pivot 681.70. Okay, so there's 15 minutes. Let's take a look at the game plan. I'm going to zoom way out here. All right, I'm going to pull this way down. All right, so here's our SPY game plan. I like Friday options on the multiple of 5, specifically for the open interest. I like the strikes at the money because there's a lot of implied volatility priced into the premium of these options. And for that reason, you're paying for, you're paying for a $10 move, all right? And some days you only get a $3 move. So if you're going to get the $3 move, you're going to want that penny for penny performance, which you're probably going to get close to at the money strike, okay? Trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Got a green erases red entry, which we already have currently, above 686.30. Just need the uptrend. Got a pivot, 681.70, above it bullish, below it bearish. Got a red erases green underneath, 676.70. I do not think that will come into play today. All right, that would be an over a $10 drop. 676.70 below that. 10-minute downtrend is a red erases green entry right there. Okay, so there's your SPY game plan. Again, we've got a 10-minute uptrend. I'm looking at trading a continuation of the current 10-minute uptrend. Now, I don't know how far it goes. We got some resistance at 689. We haven't hit 689 yet, but we did get close. How high is this? 688.92. That's pretty darn close. All right, so things may be rolling over. How far they pull back, I don't know. Currently, 10-minute uptrend. All right, but I'm just saying if that 10-minute downtrend does manifest and we do break all of this consolidation or this support structure right here, all right, there's a good chance we're pulling back to the pivot, 681.70. QQQ has a game plan as well. Let's take a look. All right, we can zoom out here. QQQ, same thing. I like the options, the Friday options on the multiple of 5. All right, a lot of open interest, a lot of liquidity. Okay, tighter bid-ask spread, less slippage on the stop outs. I like strikes out the money. Again, you're playing for $12 moves. All right. If you get a $3 day, you're going to want that penny for penny performance, especially if you're paying for some of that implied volatility here. All right, $12 moves, all right, in your option. So I like at the money options. I trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. The pivots, 613.35. Red erase green underneath 608.15. Green erase red over 618. Did I say 618 twice? Green erase red over 618. Pivot 613.65. And red erase green under 608.15. It was another teen. That's why. All right, just want to make sure I got that right. All right, that's it for me. All right, this morning. All right, I will see you all in about 45 minutes. All right, so see you in 45 minutes. You've got a nice prep. All right, remember, we're looking for a hold of this structure right here. Okay, and the bulls are running, so let's stay bullish until they're not. All right, we're going to stay bullish until they're not. Am I expecting a pullback? Yes. 689 was the number? Yes. That was on SPY, not QQQ. Okay, 689 was a little bit of resistance right there, so having a pullback from there is kind of normal. So we'll see what happens this morning. Again, things could change. I'm going to be bullish, but if we do break this structure, do the gap fill, and then start closing candles under here, good chance we're pulling back to the pivot. All right, that's for SPY. All right, traders, I'll see you in about 40 minutes. We'll open up the markets.